Alrighty, it's a pretty late one, but we got a big day. Week one is fast approaching. Starting tomorrow, we do have the Ravens and Chiefs game kicking off tomorrow. Green Bay Eagles on Friday, and then a big Sunday slate. Um, Last year was a pretty successful year for myself. Had a lot of people that wanted to make some videos, do things like that, kind of get some picks. I don't feel like I'm not going to ever charge for picks or anything. This is just fun to do. Big into fantasy and whatnot. So we'll be using Prize Picks, some of the other ones, and then I use the Daily Grind Fantasy tool. Did it last year, was pretty successful on it. Definitely takes a lot of emotion out of it. So you're not really focusing in terms of, I guess, just who's your favorite team, who's your favorite player, all that kind of stuff. If you actually want to take it serious in terms of making some money, so hopping right into it. Obviously, we got the Ravens and Chiefs game here. I think it's going to be a pretty big game. We got some pretty big new names on each team. Xavier Worthy on the Chiefs. Think that he's going to have an absolute heck of a season. I think his line was like 900 yards in terms of the year. Not entirely for sure. Spreads 3. I definitely am leaning more towards Baltimore here. I don't really like the points. I think the points. I think this game could be a far under this game, but then again, it could reach like 50, 51. So it's one of those things that you just never know of. But definitely leaning more towards Baltimore. I think Chiefs definitely have a good chance still to maybe end it with a 62-yard field goal to end up icing the game and whatnot at the very end. But Derrick Henry on the Baltimore Ravens now is going to be a pretty big deal. I think it's going to be pretty huge in terms of all that. Not going to go too much into stats or anything right now, but like we said, it's a big rematch of the AFC title game. I am leaning, especially with I've seen this point spread kind of change over the last couple weeks. It's kind of been flirting with the 2.5, 2 to 3. +3 is a pretty big thing in my book, especially when you have a game like this. So, going on to the actual daily grind fantasy tool, if you've never seen it or never use it, it basically takes all the books out there on props. I'm a big prop bettor. It basically takes all the props out there and kind of just sees what you have on the edge on it. So if you're big into like CSGO, CS2, and all that stuff, like it's a pretty big thing. Looking at some of the games and some of the bets for later on the week, like there's a Justin Herbert one for pass attempts. If you never used it, basically they're saying that it's -143 for this thing to go over at 30.5. If you look at the other lines, there is some lines that are 31.5 out there, 30.5 matching. Um, it's pretty favorable, but in my opinion, I'm going to kind of stay away from it right now. Going into it, I'll go ahead and look at the actual game lines for the main game we're going to be looking at, which is tomorrow, and hopefully create a nice little slate on it. So give me just one sec. Kansas State, and then Baltimore. Yeah, so these are the lines right here. Not really liking what I'm seeing right now in terms of it, just right off the bat. Uh, but pass completions, you can see that obviously there is an edge in terms of the under right now. Over 50% chance of hitting is pretty nice. You're looking kind of for those 57, 58s, things like that. And if you don't use on Price Picks, you have Underdog, Parlay Play, and Better. I don't really use any of these. I'm sure some people out there definitely do it, but me more so, I'm using Better or Underdog or Price Picks. So for today, it's basically just going to be looking at Price Picks stuff. But passing completions, obviously, there's an edge for a whole one pass completion less. I think I saw on pass attempts the over on it, which is negatively correlated in terms of it, in my opinion. But you're seeing a jump from 31.5, 32.5, 30.5. These things right here, in my opinion, just kind of throw me off on that. But I definitely would probably take a look at the Lamar Jackson pass completions under. Maybe do a half unit size in terms of that, whatever your unit size is. And like I was saying, in terms of the game too, With this +3 here, I always kind of go back and look at kickers, and I think Harrison Bucker, I think he actually smashes this, especially on the first drive. I think first drive, both teams get stalled out and probably both kick, I mean, anywhere from a 50, 55-yard field goal to start the game off. You got two really good kickers with Harrison Bucker and then Justin Tucker. I don't know why I just couldn't think of him, but I really do think both of these guys hit over their numbers in terms of 1.5. That's just a personal belief, not anything to do with statistics or numbers. I just think that usually when I see a +3 here, I'm gonna kind of look at it as a good chance for some kickers to get some extra points on it. So definitely looking at that for there, and then Zay Flowers. A lot of people are kind of going into the season, myself included, definitely looking at the Zay Flowers to have a really, really good year this year. 5 on it. I mean, they're looking at -130 odds. Not too bad, especially when every book has it at 4.5. So really good push potential to actually load it in. I always use week 1 as kind of a bankroll builder anyway, but definitely could be something to kind of take a look at. So um, yeah, definitely leading the Chiefs, and then overall, Lamar Jackson's pass completions definitely really good, and then like I said, Harrison Butker, probably my two favorite ones right here. Just to kind of show you guys this again. So on the daily grind fantasy and everything, if you go here, um, this is kind of what you're kind of looking for. But I mean, it's you're wanting to see a little bit more kind of line discrepancies and more data points in terms of it. But if you're big into different ones, then you do have a pretty good edge in terms of some of the books. Not really seeing too many in terms of NFL just yet, but as we kind of progress, I mean, these things update every single day. So if you do sign up or anything, feel free, use my code, use my link, and go check them out. So not too bad. But like I said, I'm going to say probably Baltimore +3. And like I said, looking at those two bets that we looked at. So.